what I do differently if I could start over. So if I could start over from scratch, and it would be amazing if I could just restart my whole life, but then I would regret not having the family I have now. And but to put that all aside, and just if I were to start my life, like say if I was 18 years old again, and I get to start fresh, because at my current age, I've gone through so much, and I've made a lot of mistakes along the way. And I know the typical thing would just be to say I wouldn't change nothing because the journey is where it's at, and you learn from your mistakes. But I would love it if I could go back and change all the mistakes. But then, changing all these mistakes will alter your future, and then you would have a completely different life. And that's kind of the point. But also, yeah, my current family situation would be so much different. So if I went back to when I was 18 years old, I would go ahead and complete college. Actually, scratch that. Okay, college has not been helpful for me yet. I have a 2-year degree, and that degree is just a piece of paper that was expensive, that hasn't done anything for me. But then after, I would have focused on what my passion was at the time. So I was really good at a card game called Magic the Gathering, and I was so good that I would place in the top 8 of local tournaments and occasionally win, which would send me to different places around the world. And I would have just focused on that because I qualified for, they have these things called Pro Tours. So I qualified for a Pro Tour event, which happened in Japan, but I couldn't go because I didn't have the money, and family wouldn't help give me money for airfare. I got a $750 voucher, but that wasn't enough money to be able to have airfare and hotel. So what I would have done is, if I thought about it more carefully, is spend my money more carefully. Instead of wasting my money playing video games, since my passion at that time was to play Magic the Gathering professionally, I should have just saved all the money I made from working my crappy job and then pay for my own trip because I know it was a big ask. My family was kind of being frugal, and even though they could have afforded to send me, they refused to send me to another country to play Magic. And that's understandable because at that time, it was a different mindset. It's not like today where professional gaming is actually a thing where you can make thousands of dollars and actually make a living from it. Back then, it was unheard of, and like there was no streaming. You couldn't show what you're doing to people and be like, I am doing this and this is so good and blah blah blah. So I would have definitely followed that path, and that path ended up leading to online poker and playing poker in real life. And when I wasn't playing Magic the Gathering, I did qualify for numerous pro level tournaments, traveled numerous times when I could, and then I got into poker, and I was doing fairly good at that. I flew up to Las Vegas, and I won a local tournament there, and I won numerous tournaments at home, and I've won more than I've lost playing poker, and I was doing fairly good. I felt like I was able to outplay most people, although there are some good players that do give you, it is a challenge to play against them. But I think that if I just followed those two, I would have been really successful. I know it's not your traditional careers, and if I were to start over and not do those things like Magic and poker, I would have focused on some kind of skill that is useful. Like knowing what I know now, I would have gotten into IT. Back then, it was much easier to break into IT because, from what I've learned, is that just having a CompTIA A+ certification back then was enough to get you an entry-level job. and then once you get the entry level job, then you can start progressing up. And just the rungs on the ladder for IT are so much shorter than your traditional job. And if the particular company that you're at is you're kind of stuck in your position, it's easier to switch companies and move up and up and up. But currently, since I'm older and I don't have much IT experience, but I do have some certifications, it is challenging to get a IT job, which I'm still trying to do. But yeah, I'd say that back then, if I were to start over, get into IT, get a 6-figure job within 5 years, continue pushing forward, and then by 30 years old, I plan to already have a home that I bought and thousands of dollars. I say at least 6 figures saved in the bank, start a family, continue pushing forward, and then by the time I'm 40, be close to retirement. And yeah, where I'm at now is just I'm not close to retirement, and I don't want to see how old I am, but I am older, and I'm if I were just to start over again, I would have made career first, and then once I'm successful with the career, then move on to relationships. And I think it's okay to have a relationship along the way, but you do need balance. You can't just start a family prematurely. Like, I don't think it's good to have kids until you're ready for them, like financially, because it would be a struggle if you don't have everything in place, like kind of like now. So I'm currently not making enough money to support my family, and I wish I did. Like, we have to live with relatives in order to be able to make it by. So we live with relatives, and I work a job that doesn't pay that good. And although I appreciate my job, and yeah, just keep pushing forward. And yeah, just to get back to the point, I think that it's important to just focus on structuring your life so that when you're older, you I think it's common sense, excuse me, but structuring your life so that when you get to a more advanced stage, that things will be easier, you'll be more comfortable. You don't have to be like, oh no, my car broke down, what am I going to do? You just be like, okay, car broke down, no problem. I have this money, I'll just fix it or buy a replacement. And same thing with your home, same thing. If something bad happens and you need to take time off of work, just having that financial wall built around you is amazing.